into it, cause all of the girls do it, cause all of the girls do it, cause all of the girls do it. Ain't nothing to it, cause all of the girls do it, cause all of the girls do it, cause all of the girls do it.
It was a beautiful day in Equestria, and ponies were strolling about on their daily routines. Ponyville had been recently expanded due to the influx of many OC characters and other community members. Each one had made lives to expand the city in order to fulfill the influx, gaining skills and jobs with the various show characters. One such set of ponies sat at the newly renovated Sugar Cube Corner, enjoying a light brunch at the outdoor plaza. One mare was light blue and a unicorn, with an average body size, along with black with red stripes for her mane and tail. She wore a simple gray t-shirt and jogging shorts, keeping herself mostly covered. The pony beside her was not so modest. She was a dark blue alicorn with deep black adorning the tips of her body, especially her wings. She wore a sports bra which showed off her triple D cups and cutoff jeans, which were pretty much shorts, that fitted her large rear snugly. While she was bigger than most mares in Ponyville, she was actually quite small compared to the more well-known alicorns. The two sat enjoying a small platter of muffins in front of them. Well, Lily was anyway. Lotus continued to glance around nervously for a friend they were expecting. She took a sip of her strawberry lemonade in front of her before finally huffing out at Lily. "Where is that changeling?" Lotus exclaimed, the annoyance in her voice masking her growing concern. "She isn't normally this late to our weekly breakfast gatherings. Even when she does her business, she usually calls first. What do you think is happening?" To this, Lily simply shrugged and picked up another muffin from the table. "Your guess is as good as mine, Lotus. I'm not her babysitter, and I'm certainly not wasting energy thinking about it. She'll come when she gets here, so relax and finish your muffin before it gets cold." Lotus sighed in defeat and then went to finishing off her muffin. After another few minutes passed, their friend came down the street, but not in a way they were expecting. Lotus quickly shot out of her seat and ran to help. The female changeling was in tatters, her body shrunken and obviously in pain. Lotus brought her to the table, and the changeling promptly collapsed into the chair nearby. "Oh, geez, Sectus, what happened? You look absolutely weak and totally wrecked." Lily paid really no attention to this. She continued to eat her muffins, as if completely oblivious to the one-eyed changeling's arrival. She sat up in her seat and picked up the iced tea on the table, taking a light sip before continuing.
Nothing really happened to Lotus. I just got a bit cocky, and Chrysalis ended up draining a little too much love out of me. I'll be fine in a bit.
"You still look terrible. Come on, let's go back to our place and get you properly cleaned up." Lotus helped Sectus out of her seat and led her down the street towards their house. Lily, to this, simply rolled her eyes and used a teleportation spell to get them to their living room. Lotus blinked a few times, then sat Sectus on their couch. "You could have warned me before you went and used a spell, you know," says the mayor, who was dragging a one-eyed changeling down the street. "Oh, and you're welcome, by the way." Lotus scoffed at Lily's behavior, but went into the other room to fetch some clothes for Sectus. Sectus prompted Sectus propped her skinny arm on the couch and sat up, taking the ragged clothes she was wearing off and throwing them onto the floor.
Well, thanks for doing this all for me. Now all I really need is some love and I can get out of your hairs. Lily, if you don't mind me asking?
Why, of course. Not like you need much anyway. With that, Lily pulled Sectus's mouth to her own, and the two began to kiss. As they did, Sectus drew love from the contact, the sensation causing both to shiver in pleasure. Sectus's body began to grow, her skinny arms growing much bulkier with the magic. Her hips began to swell outward and her breasts grew to about, several cup sizes larger. When the two broke their kiss, Sectus's body looked similar to that of Lotus's form. The two gazed into each other's eyes, wanting more of what was. But sadly, their thoughts were interrupted from Lotus's sudden return, who immediately gagged at the sight of the naked changeling. Okay, you could have waited till I got back before you, went and stripped in our house. Anyway, here, I bought some spare clothes you can wear so you aren't, walking around naked. The attire was a spare swimsuit from Lotus's closet, a simple red two-piece bikini, which Sectus put on quickly. It was admittedly a bit snug, but worked its job enough.
Thanks, Lotus. With this, I'll just make my way home then. Sorry to cause all the worry for you. See you girls whenever.
Before Sectus could make her way out the door, Lily stepped in front of it and gave the bug a sultry grin. Don't leave so soon. I want to hang out with you for a little while today. In fact, how about you spend the night here with us?
No thanks, but seeing Midnight living here, I don't really have somewhere else to sleep comfortably.
Oh, that's not true. Midnight Affections is up at the Rainbow Falls meeting some Fox character. Something about amending friendships or something. And she's also going to be out all night too. Meeting her bat pony cult friend, Mystic Knight, I believe. You can just sleep in her bed and stay at least a night. Sectus looked over at Lotus, who simply shrugged her shoulders. They both knew what the alicorn was capable of, so resistance wasn't really going to do much in the way of favors for them. So instead, Sectus instantly nodded her head and went back to the couch. The afternoon had been, well, pretty simple. The trio just hung out, watched some old films, and went out for a pizza dinner. Despite Secta stating that she could simply go sleep at her home, Lily convinced her to stay over for just the one night. Soon, each of the ponies ended up in their own rooms to get some shut-eye. Sectus laid on the bed, which was Midnight's bed, and stared at the ceiling. Midnight had a pretty standard room, pretty plain too. And it was nothing but the substantial things, girly decorations and standard VA equipment, as well as files that assumably housed future project ideas and possibly future requests. With Sectus reading on the bed, having grabbed a pretty ordinary book off the bookshelf, she felt bored, all things considered. Her thoughts were interrupted when the door opened and Lily stepped in. She wore a simple nightgown that stopped at her hips, all in a deep green color. She came into the room and sat on the bed, putting a hand not so subtly on Sectus's leg. You know, not many ponies can go against Chrysalis and come back without a hitch. You certainly turned out well for having your body drained and abused.
Well, I didn't say I got out scot-free. I ended up losing an eye and a wing for one of her fits of rage. Still, she needs us drones to bring back love for her, so keeping me alive was for the best in her.
Oh, and what did you do this time? Lily slid her hand up the smooth surface of Sectus's naked skin, moving to caress the light wing she had on her back.
I came back with a rather busty body, similar in appearance to yours. She took it as a challenge. As she said, I ended up getting sucked thin and really dried out.
What a shame. Well, if it's alright with you, I want to make you feel better about this whole scenario. And I think you know how.
Now I can see why you wanted me to stay here for the night.
Sectus rolled her one eye and got up from the bed, placing the book she was reading on the nightstand nearby. Lily then began to cast a spell in the room, briefly encasing it in a dark aura before it dissipated. What can I say? My little LoveBug doesn't come around often, so this was the perfect excuse to spend a little quality time together at night. Now come on, don't keep me waiting. With that, she threw off the gown she was wearing, letting her breasts hang freely in the nightlight. Sectus made her way to the bed and lightly pushed the alicorn down onto the bed as she began to passionately kiss the mare. Their breasts pressed against each other, and the two kissed, Sectus's long snake-like tongue playing around in the alicorn's mouth. Lily's hands made their way down the kerosene-covered body of the changeling, smoothly gliding down the curves and letting her squeeze Sectus's firm rump. The changeling's moans echoed inside of their connected lips, and Sectus brought her hands up the soft fur of the alicorn's back, making their way to the wings. When they reached them, Sectus began to rub the sensitive nerves that connected at the feathers of Lily's wings, making Lily moan into the changeling's mouth. The kiss dragged on, the nipples of the alicorn becoming very stiff and rubbing against Sectus's body. After a few minutes, Lily broke the kiss, a trail of saliva connecting their mouths. Using her magic, Lily lifted Sectus off of her, hovering the LoveBug a few feet from the bed. She then rolled over, pinning her to the bed before getting on top of her. She sat well above the changeling, staring down with sultry eyes. She then began to massage the breasts of the changeling, kneading the malleable armor in her hand. Since changelings don't have nipples, she returned to kissing Sectus head on. As she did so, Sectus put one of her hands onto Lily's plush rear and the other into her moist honey pot. The two moaned into each other's mouths as they pleased each other in their own ways. Lily bucked her leg in tandem with the insertion of Sectus's fingers. She used her index and ring finger to trace the outside of the dripping entrance of the changeling, sliding just inside to keep the emotion on. Lily, feeling her climax soon build, slid her hands around the changeling, placing one hand on Sectus's wing and the other on her honeypot. Sectus began to moan loudly as Lily began to finger the inside of her lush, moist honeypot, as well as slightly prod at her clit, pinching and flicking it to try to make her come as well. The tension soon became too much for either of them, and they squirted onto the bed, making a mess of the once clean sheets. Sectus had shrunk a little from the exertion, since the love magic of Changeling also fueled their sex drive. Lily rolled off of Sectus, each slightly spent from the recent activity, and laid silently beside each other for a few minutes. As Lily laid on the bed, Sectus quickly went in for another kiss on the lips, this time sucking the passion out of Lily like a hungry baby. Her body began to grow in mass once again, her body rapidly becoming shapelier than Lily's own. When the changeling stopped, her body was now as tall as Lily, but with a bustier frame and wider hips. Lily got up from the bed and looked at her with a hurt gaze. "That was very dirty of you, Sectus. It's one thing to take my love when I offer it, but to go out like that? Oh, I must say it hurt."
What can I say? When we get low on energy, we get a primal desire to feed.
Very well then. I guess I'll just have to make use of this new body of yours. With that, she leapt on top of the LoveBug, making Sectus groan in pleasure and pain. Her mirrorhood was right against the front of the changeling's face, and Lily had a good view of Sectus's now much tighter and bigger entrance. She began to eat out Sectus, swirling her tongue around, the tight walls of her entrance constricting and expanding slowly. Between this and Lily's large body on her sensitive armor, Sectus had a hard time staying focused on the task in front of her. But trained as a sex machine, and not one to be outdone, she placed her hands on Lily's ass, kneading the soft, furry flesh in her hands. She then reached her face out and dug her tongue deep into Lily's mirrorhood. Lily began to buck her legs, and Sectus's longer tongue being able to deeply penetrate her tight lips. Lily struggled to maintain her pace as both tried to slurp up all of the sweet-tasting liquids they each had to offer. The two moaned into each other's mouths. Well, their lower mouths, slurping up the juices and the magic off of each other. The battle of pleasure soon climaxed, with each mirrors once again squirting stream after stream of their mirror juices into each other's throats. Sectus once again shrunk from the experience, ending up back to Lotus's size. From this, Lily rolled back onto the bed and laid down beside Sectus, ready to fall asleep beside the mirror. Before she could relax, however, Sectus once again made a move, pinning Lily to the bed. Lily did struggle to get out of the changeling's grip, but being spent from her last climax, simply gave up and let Sectus overpower her. Sectus quickly locked lips with Lily again, and she began to take more of Lily's passion. This time, she drank it in deeply, not satisfied to have the night end like it had. Her body grew even more larger than that of Lily's, heck, even more than a Celestia's. After finishing, Sectus stood at a whopping 12 feet with thick, muscular arms and fat, bulky curves. Lily sat exhausted on the bed, looking over at the LoveBug who, once again, had taken advantage of her love and grew bigger. Well, she wasn't going to let this be the end of it. She cast a quick healing spell on herself, then got on top of the huge changeling, giving her an angry look. Her horn glowed brightly, and binds began to tie the changeling to the now much too small bed. And despite Sextus's newfound strength, she couldn't break the binds on her.
Lily? I'm sorry about the last one. Could you please not?
Hush you. I can take it once, but twice? I have to thoroughly punish you for this. But in a way, it won't be a way you can walk away from. Oh no. You deserve something special, and I have just the thing. I honestly have kept this a secret, even from Lotus no less. But I think this moment calls for a bit more push for your punishment. Watch in fear, little LoveBug. With that, Lily began to morph her body, becoming much larger. Her black fur suddenly had spots that crept up her body. A dark red ethereal flower pattern formed as it crept up. Her snake-like eyes became violet on the inside, with a deep blue on the outside. Her wings frilled out much larger, turning a black color. Her once normal mane and tail became ethereal, glowing a soft but powerful colorization of royal purple. It flowed with a wave-like pattern, giving soft shadows in the moonlight. Her breast size had quadrupled, and her shapely hips had become the size of yoga balls. She gave the changeling a wicked smile before speaking. I am no longer the delicate lily you have come to love. I am a primal force, a driving hunger within all mares. I am Crimson Blossom! To this, Sectus gave the alicorn a flat stare from her laying position.
Seriously? That's the best name you can come up with?
What I call myself isn't your business. Now, for that fun I was talking about. With that, the alicorn charged up his magic spell, which flowed down her form before reaching just above her crotch. She began to moan out loud, stroking the small item that was growing underneath her body. Sectus watched as the small bud grew out, gaining mass and veins by the second. It formed into a large fudacock, along with a sizable pair of balls, which stood proud in front of the mare. Sectus saw where this was going, and once again struggled again with the binds that she was in. But this was alicorn magic she was dealing with. The struggle was fruitless. Blossom began to guide the shaft around a sensitive opening of her friend, teasing the eventual outcome with tiny circles around her clit. Sectus whimpered at the touch, hoping to not have this be the outcome. But with a grunt, Blossom thrust deep into Sectus, causing Sectus to scream out in pain and ecstasy. The shaft alone dug its way into the tight passage of Sectus's love pot. Being so much larger than the hole, it formed a pretty sizable bulge in her abdomen area, touching every part of the straining armor. Blossom grabbed onto the body of the mare below her and began to rock back and forth steady in a slow and steady rhythm. She started off pretty slow, letting the changeling feel every inch of the hard dick strain against her natural armor. Lily then leaned onto Sectus's face, pressing her hard nipples against the LoveBug's face. With no choice in the matter, Sectus began to lick at the hard nipple, making Alicorn moan in passion, continuing by biting down on it lightly and tugging on the breast in tandem with Blossom's rocking. The milk from her right breast dripped into the LoveBug's mouth. It tasted she wanted to linger on her from how good it was, but Blossom pulled away and twisted Sectus into a new position before running her with full force. Yes, you are just an insect before me, and all insects must be squashed under the hoofs of a strong mare.
Yes, oh yes, break me, my queen. I am just your drone. Do as you please. I am willing to serve.
The pounding and moans echoed in a magically sealed room, the two of them going at it like animals. The speed at which they were fucking could have broken any normal mare or stallion, but not for them. The building of their climax began, and the sheer bliss of it all making even the simplest thoughts meaningless.
Oh gosh, my queen. I'm about to burst.
But then give me all you have. Give me all you can spare to unleash. Break down the barriers and send me over the edge. Eventually, Sectus couldn't hold herself anymore and blasted out with a squirting fountain of mare juices. Blossom too unleashed wave after wave of magical artificial seed into the changeling mare's shrinking body. Blossom soon returned to Lily, basically returning back to her normal form, removing the cock from her body and falling down on the bed. Both lay next to each other, an ocean of seed and mare cum all over the floor. Sectus, once again back to Lotus's size, though with a stomach that looked about 4 months pregnant.
Wow, that was intense.
Sectus stated, rubbing her swollen belly with her hand. Lily gave Sectus a warm smile, rubbing her own hand on Sectus's tight belly. Yes, indeed, it was. The Alicorn stated, getting up from the bed and removing the liquid with her magic. She then magically cleaned the room so that the mess would not be discovered upon Midnight's return. Sectus rolled onto her side, groaning from the effort and stress that had been put upon her.
I think I'll head out early in the morning tomorrow. Thanks for the night, love. It was truly special to me.
No problem, Sectus. Good luck getting that out in the morning. I bet it'll be pretty. With that, Lily put her nightgown back on and removed the spell from the room. She gave Sectus one last wink before going to her own room and going straight to bed. Meanwhile, Sectus had crashed on Midnight's bed and fell into a deep and lustful sleep. Okay, Sectus, I'm gonna ask you to leave this in. This story was good, and, well, thanks for letting me read. Actually, you know what? Cut this part out, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not.